بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. لله تبارك وتعالى. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Inshallah ta'ala, I pray that all of you are having a good morning. And this morning, I was thinking about several things. And I want to share something with us. Let me say this. Y'all know these things that I give sometimes in the morning when I'm not doing a standard class. They're called scattered thoughts, right? Let's entertain each other real quick. Why do you think I call these morning sessions that I have periodically, sometimes they're a lot, scattered thoughts? Just you hear it, you hear a term, something has to come to your mind. Why do you think I call them scattered thoughts? I'm listening. I'm looking. Go ahead. Random. That's the meaning for scattered. But why do you think I call them scattered thoughts? They are random. Yeah, but why? Scrambled eggs in your brain. They vary in context because your thoughts be all over the place, but they need to be shared. Oh, that's nice, Kimberly. Good thoughts of me. Right? Okay. Go ahead. Because of the various conversations you have throughout the day. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I like these. Okay. That's a good one. That's real, real close. Things going on in your mind. That's great. Okay. Yes, Asma. Good. I wish my mind could go 200 miles per hour. It's more like maybe 20 or 30 miles per hour, and it feel like 200. You want to say it before you get know? This is really good too. Different thoughts or ideas that come to mind you feel need to be discussed. Yes. Good. I'm going to tell you another reason. With all of those reasons are true, all of them have a level of accuracy to them, all of what you said. But the main reason I have scattered thoughts, so I'm not imprisoned by the thoughts of others, especially those who wish to control our thoughts. So that's really the main reason I have scattered thoughts. To break the cycle of mental imprisonment that we have as a people. We don't realize how much our minds and thoughts are imprisoned by the dictating of other people's thoughts upon us. To we're not allowed to think because someone else's thought process is already superseding ours. And then you no longer think like yourself, you think like somebody else without even thinking about it. If that makes sense. You no longer are thinking for yourself, you're thinking like someone else without even thinking about it. So I'll give you an example. I'm trying to get a message to you. I am. And all of you by now should know the message I'm trying to get to you. What's the message that on this platform I'm really trying to get? If you want to summarize to the most concise point, what am I trying to get across to y'all? And I've been doing it for 4 years, and I've been busting my tail trying to get it across. And I've been fought tooth and nail against this point by others. It's something I'm trying to get across to y'all. What is it? Let me see if y'all been following me well. If you want to sum up what he's trying to get across, you could, if you understood me well in the last 4 years, you can answer that question quick. What am I trying to get across? Mm. Correct belief, not to let others dictate of Islam. Learn the truth and think for yourself. The correct interpretation of Islam. Proper belief and knowledge of your deen. All that's true. Now, put that in the methodology. All what you're saying is true, and that's true. But I'm actually trying to teach you a methodology to do that. So that's what I'm looking for. So put a methodology to that. All the answers are correct, but I'm trying to teach you a methodology. So tell me that methodology I'm trying to get across. So let me reword the question. I'm trying to teach you something, and what is the methodology I'm using to do it? Kimberly, you're warm. Good. Patricia, wow. Go ahead, Sister Patricia. You are a living example of it just gets better with time. MashaAllah. And when I say Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, Sister Kimberly got it, she right on it. When I say Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, what do I mean by that? Okay, add more, because y'all only talking about Aqidah, and that's true. Ash'ira and Maturidiyya, Ash'ari and Maturidi. But add more. That's not all I'm trying to teach you, because we've done more than that in methodology. What else? That's in Aqidah. What else? So that's Aqidah. You got that. Ash'ari Maturidi. What else? We don't just learn Aqidah, right? The four schools, that's in al-fiqh. And what are they? Right, right. And tasawwuf. Good. Raqiya. All right. Within that, so my whole point is to teach you properly the correct belief and practices of Islam. That's what I'm trying to do. That's my objective. The methodology I'm doing is the methodology of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. In Aqidah, Ashari, Maturidi. In Al Fiqh, Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanbali, and the way of Tasawwuf. That's the primary objective of everything I'm doing is to get there. And I take different routes to do it. Within that, however, I realize who I'm talking to. And I realize the challenges and the obstacles that exist to get that message to the people I'm talking to. Hence, I go about it in a thoughtful way that may differ from the way others do it. I'm trying to do the same thing. I just don't do it your way. But my intention, as you can see, is to do that. The way someone else may do it may not work. And from over 40 something years of witnessing various approaches to get that done, I've seen the pluses and the minuses in those approaches. So I don't do the same thing. I'm actually trying to help us to get there. And many of us don't even realize how far we're away from that. I wish Noor would give me an ijazah to talk about him, but he won't, so I can't. Sheikh Noor Saunders, may Allah reward. We did some crazy stuff yesterday. It was nice, but I love us. Black people are special, right? But I want to tell you something, because this story is the story of all of us, right? We want to do the right thing. We do. But there is no, for us, clear, well laid out map to do that. So we're all trying to figure it out ourselves while trying to remain free-thinking human beings. And that's challenging. Especially when you're bombarded with other people trying to put you in their thought process. It's very difficult and quite challenging. Along with all the social, economic, cultural challenges that serve as obstacles in reaching your destination. It's very important to understand that. It took me, I'm going to share this with you to give you the obstacles. It took me 30 years to realize some of the people that I had confidence in me don't care about me at all. It took me 30 years to realize that. 30 years to realize some of the people that I had the most confidence in religiously don't care about me at all. And it ain't personal to me. They don't care about my people at all. We're only to be used. That's it. It took me 30 years to actually say, you know what, I got it. 30 years. And guess what? It's some people who took that journey with me and they still ain't got it. They started the journey with me, and some of them are in year 40 and still don't got it. But they see it because they want to do the right thing. They want to do the right thing. So it's not, and without going into details, all you got to do is understood what I said. You are not able to think because someone else has superseded your thinking process with their thought process, and you're not even thinking about that. That's all. If you understood that, you could understand how years could go with that challenge and you never get past it. We live it all the day. I'll give you an example. Now, don't get mad at me. Yesterday, as we were traveling, we were talking about we were just going to get some coffee, right? And as we were going to get coffee, the three of us, myself, our brother Muawiyah, who gives the weird in the morning, and Sheikh No Saunders, us three, we're going to get coffee. And as we're going to get coffee, we're discussing where to get coffee. And we were talking about where to get coffee. I'm not going to go into the details of it. So while we were talking about where not to get coffee, the issue was raised that, well, if that's the case, then we shouldn't go here either. Because everyone that where we're going to get coffee in one way or another is supporting the same thing we're talking about boycotting. Doesn't make a difference when you think about it. Everywhere you're going. So now you're talking about major or minor, then you should be thinking about that. Or just someone else thinking for you. Which one is it? I said, so if we're not going to go here, these people do the same thing. You just might not know the individual. And the evidence and the one who they helping is doing more than all of them put together. But someone tells you, no, just them or just them. Does that make sense? I'm just saying when someone else is thinking for us, you're not thinking. When you start thinking, a lot of stuff don't make sense. Let me give you an example. Some of us, even the ones who are studying right now, our students, and this is something we got to fix. We've all been like that. We go overseas and we forget ourselves. We become religious slaves. No one does that but us. It's African Americans, I'm talking specifically. No one else does that but us. So we would go over 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 years and study, and we come back and we're still a student. In meaning, in practice, and in thought. No one does that but us. Nobody in no country, in no culture does that but us. It's something we need to fix. In every other country, when that person comes back home, he is sheikh, he is in charge, he is authoritative, and ultimately, he is a reference for his people. And they no longer are going abroad. I saw this back in the 80s when I was overseas. In the late 80s, you would see people send their people to Egypt. They would study, and years later, you go to their country or you talk to them. Dude's a sheikh, he's in the government, he's an advisor, he's a leader. And he might not have been the best student, but he's a leader. He's a leader in his community. And they refer to him. I remember one of my classmates, he was in Ghana. He wasn't the greatest student at all. He finished his studies. Years later, he was like giving legal judgments among their scholars. The same person. We lived together. We lived together. I remember, I don't want to go there. They used to treat Africans bad in Egypt, right? Especially at Azhar, right? I remember he came to live with me because the conditions were so bad. He was like, yo, Amin, help me, but I said, I cannot take it. But he became a leader. Today, be honest. We don't respect none of us, no matter who you are. That's someone else controlling our thoughts. And we need to change that narrative because it's killing us in the long term. So someone would say, he's giving these long talks. I ain't heard one verse of the Quran or one hadith. I said, then you wasn't listening. You wasn't listening. Do you know one thing we used to like about the elders when we were coming up? If those who came up with elders. Elders spoke wisdoms that were filled with educational principles without ever mentioning educational principles. Sometimes they weren't even educated. I'm going to repeat that. When we were coming up, when elders were respected, I grew up in the 70s. And so those who lived before me understand what I'm talking about. We grew up where the elders were respected. And they used to give deep wisdoms that contained so many educational principles without never mentioning the educational principles. And most of them were not educated. Those who grew up in the early 70s or 60s and 50s can testify to what I'm saying. In our community, it was a pleasure to listen to the old head on the block, even if he had a whiskey bottle in his hand. He would be dropping wisdoms with a whiskey bottle in his hand. And maybe didn't even finish grade school. And maybe he didn't even finish grade school. But today, as we get older, we will be talking about those wisdoms he gave us when we were little kids playing on the playground in the sandbox. So, but those wisdoms contained everything we learned in school that we couldn't see. We was going to school learning the things that that elder was telling us, but it was in an educational format we couldn't get it. It was like probably boring to most of us. But later, when we connect the dots and think, we'd be like, whoa, that was heavy. That was heavy. That was heavy. Right? For us, that may be how we need to get Islam. So someone's idea that when you listen to the content of what someone is saying, you will actually find all the verses of the Quran, the hadith of the Prophet, the sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the lives of the companions, all wrapped up in that speech. All wrapped up in the speech. But when someone is thinking for you, you just want to hear a verse or a hadith, and a lot of time that verse and that hadith is misinterpreted. So you heard it, but the meaning is all wrong. All wrong. In fact, sometimes the meaning is kufr. And then in other times, the interpretation of the verses in hadith is meant to make you a slave. You hear what I said? And sometimes the interpretation of the verses in hadith are meant to make you a slave. Because you're not thinking without thinking about it, someone else is thinking for you. Scattered thoughts is designed to break that pattern. To give you, to the best of our ability, an understanding of the deen where you learn how to think for yourself. Yet think within the confines of correct understanding of Islam and methodology. Yet independently think while not going outside of our established tradition because you understand our established tradition. For some people, they will never understand what I'm talking about. And obviously, since that's the case, it wasn't meant for you. So I'm talking to the one who it was meant for. And I honestly am getting like the old person in my neighborhood who used to say, I'm too old to watch what I say and be concerned about how you feel. That's some old head talk right there. I'm too old to watch what I say and be concerned about how you feel. Now, on the surface, that don't seem proper. But when you look deep into the meaning, man, that's heavy. That's a heavy truth. That's a heavy truth. What are they really saying? The truth may be told no matter how it sounds or how you feel about it. I'm going to tell you the truth. You may not like how it sounds, and it may not make you feel good, but I'm going to tell you the truth. That's some heavy stuff. When we think about it. 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 We have to make a change. And we have to be brave to do that. The one who wishes to control us is never going to appreciate that. They're never going to appreciate that because their intent is to control you. And if you're not controlled, we can't buy you. We can't instill fear in you. You're just going to do what you do. We can warn against you. We can excommunicate you. We can do all that. It don't make a difference. You're still going to do what you're going to do. When we get to that point, we are free people. We are free people. And then when we become a free people, we can build. But we must be free first. So that's why I do scattered thoughts. I'm not afraid. Our enemies have hurt us enough to they can't do no more. So now we're not afraid. And when I say afraid, don't always think of it as a physical encounter. Sometimes the fear is a mental encounter. It has nothing to do with physical. No one's going to put their hands on you. But they scared you to death mentally. And sometimes spiritually, sometimes culturally, sometimes economically. Fear has a variety of ways to enter the heart. And fear is designed to control you. Stop being scared. The person who's trying to make you afraid ain't really like that. Not at all. I got in trouble yesterday. And I do stuff. I do. I do. I'm not going. I have to admit, sometimes I do some stuff, and it's intentional. Yesterday, someone unconsciously, no, Imam, I'm going, Muawiyah. You say Imam to the one who keeps starting all the trouble. Stop it. I'm going in. This is my platform. Your thoughts don't control mine. I'm going in. You didn't stop them. Don't stop me. Now, I'm going to do it nice, Muawiyah, just like you like it, right? But I got to tell a story in my own way. So sometimes, right, the slave who doesn't realize they're a slave tries to do the work for the slave master and thinks like the slave master without realizing it. It's without realization. Keep in mind, this is all without thinking. Right? This is all without thinking. It's no malice intended. It's the point. I'm thinking like someone else. I'm not even thinking about it. So keep that in mind. It's not meant to be offensive from the perpetrator. They don't even understand what's happening. Muawiyah, would that be safe to say since you jumped in, Imam, please, right? And you never jump in. I told Muawiyah and Sheikh Noor yesterday, because, they're always on my back, right? I'll tell you a joke. Did anyone see the Mike Tyson, what's his name? Come on. The last fight Mike Tyson had, the exhibition. Roy Jones. Did anyone see the Mike Tyson Roy Jones fight? More than the fight, did you see the post interview? I told Sheikh Norton on this yesterday. So they were asking, I'm gonna tell you the story. This is what Sheikh Nur and Muawiyah do to me. I'm calling y'all out, right? They do to me. Mike Tyson is known he'll whoop you, right? Everybody know Mike Tyson will whoop you and he'll bust you up in his day, right? But he's old and he ain't fought in a long time. And if you remember the last fights, he got knocked out, right? But he's still Mike Tyson. That's how he's looked at. Right, wrong, and indifferent. He's Mike Tyson. Iron Mike. So the interviewer asked Roy Jones, he said, was you nervous in there? Did you think he was going to get hurt? And Mike Tyson jumped in. He was like, wait a minute. What about my blank, blank, blank? You always worrying about somebody else's blank, blank. Well, nobody asked me, was I going to get hurt? Was I scared? He fought 4 years. I ain't fought in 15 years. What about me? You got to see it. It was hilarious. That's how they do me. I'm getting attacked, and I'm guilty if I defend myself. And no one say nothing to the one who attacked me. Oh, that's funny. I'm sorry. This is my scattered thoughts. So anyway, getting back to the story. So there's a narrative from someone else that goes in the mind of someone else without them even thinking about what they're doing. That narrative goes into someone else's mind and they carry it out. That's the agenda of someone else. It's not their agenda. They're not thinking about it. They're just carrying out an agenda. So I knew it was coming, but I just tried to ignore and play, be nice, Imam Amin. I'm being nice. But no, don't let me be nice. Let's get him. Let's take a shot at him. When the shot comes, remember, the person's not thinking. They're thinking in the mind of someone else. It's real. It's real. We watched it. Then, when I switched the gears and reversed the questioning, and they couldn't answer, I'm the bad guy. Not, I'm the bad guy. I didn't start this. You did. And you didn't start it. The one thinking for you started it. Put a narrative out and you just bit. And then sent you on a mission and you got slaughtered. Think about that. Sent you on a mission and you got slaughtered. And they wasn't nowhere to help you. And they sitting comfortable somewhere and sent you out and you got slaughtered. That's what they do to us all the time. So forget the incident. Remember I said there's a wisdoms in the whole picture. Forget what happened. That ain't the point. The point is what really happened. And when we gonna learn? Think about what really happened. Muawiyah, Sheikh Nur, think about what really, really happened. Don't look at the surface. Go deep in the meaning. They keep setting us up against us. Think about it. They keep setting us up against us. Think about that. That's some deep stuff, ain't it? You understand what I'm saying? Forget the incident. Go a little bit deeper. Wait a minute. Muawiyah is menacing the truth. You know we have fun, right? This is really difficult for CD Muawiyah. That's pure facts. That's the conclusion of the whole conversation. When Muawiyah admits he got it, that's good. I'm joking. No, serious. It's deep stuff when we think about it. It ain't us. We've been played like that for a long time. And it could be in different circumstances. That's what I'm saying. Someone else has put their thinking process in us, and we're not even thinking about what's happening. Some deep stuff. It's called the making of a slave. And if you want a real slave, do your best to not let him realize he's a slave. If you want a real slave, do your best to make sure he doesn't realize he's a slave. Allah is teaching us every turn. We just have to learn. Allah is teaching us. He's showing us. In his wise way of doing things, he's educating us. But most of us are sleeping. We have to wake up. We have to wake up. And sometimes Allah sends us knowledge, clothed and suitable for the time and the people of that time. Knowledge and wisdom don't always come in the same clothing, in the same wrap. Sometimes it's different. All right. So that was my thoughts for today. And listen, my whole message is learn to think for yourself, but learn how to think. So that whole spiel I just did for 45 minutes that's the whole point. Learn to think for yourself, just learn how to properly think. Can we all put that? Learn to think for yourself, just learn how to properly think. Oh, Bashir, you would have loved yesterday. Oh, if you could have been a fly on the wall, you would have had a ball. Boy, you would have been jumping for joy. We had a ball yesterday. Can we put that up? All of us copy that. If we get this message, we straight. If we get this message, we straight. Everything else is easy. The rest is easy. All right, I made a big mistake, so I hope y'all can forgive me, but my life has got extremely busy. So I forget. I'm getting old. It's not easy. This weekend, we're having the Maliki Fiqh retreat Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Masjid Muhammad with Sheikh Harun Saleh. Friday from between Maghrib and Isha, Saturday from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m., and Sunday from 12 to 6. We mentioned this already. The flyer is on our Facebook pages, on our website, I believe. The flyer is out. There is no fee, but we announced it, but I wasn't following through with my own uh, my own life. I was just too busy, and I honestly forgot to keep mentioning it. So, but anyway, those who can make it, it's free. So, or make some of it. We're going to be covering the text or the Muqtasar of Al-Akhdari in Maliki Fiqh. So that book, inshallah, will be covered Friday night between Maghrib and Isha. So let's say 6 to 8, somewhere around there, roughly, right? And Saturday and Sunday all day from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock at night till we finish the text, inshallah. So, because we're getting back to our monthly lessons live at Masjid Muhammad. Will it be online? I don't know. I have to ask the teacher if he prefers. If he don't mind, we should, because some people missed it. But that's not my decision to make. I'll leave that to the teacher. But those who can make it, even being online, is nothing like being in presence. And the whole being live is extremely important. But if he don't mind, we'll try to video some of it. I mean, to live stream some of it. But I can't promise. Okay. So that's, please spread that. If you see the flyer, spread it so people that can know. Inshallah ta'ala. I did mention it. I've been mentioned it a long time ago, but people might not remember like I didn't remember. But prepare yourself. We're going to at least start bi-monthly with weekend programming retreats at Masjid Muhammad. We're getting ready to revive that. We used to have it every month. We're going to start bi-monthly. So prepare yourself for every other month for live sessions, weekend sessions at Masjid Muhammad, live. We're getting ready to revive that again, inshallah ta'ala, where we cover books, like real studies. So prepare yourself for that. We used to do it all the time. After COVID, but we're going back, inshallah. And I guess that's it. So my whole lesson today, my whole talk, is think about it. Think about it. Don't let no one tell you how to think. Just make sure you're thinking properly. Allah gave us all intellects, use them. Right? And if you get used to using your intellect, you're going to come up with amazing things. And then it just needs to be channeled within the proper format. Can I guarantee no snow? You need to learn Tawheed. Can I guarantee no snow? You need to learn Tawheed. Farouk, don't I always mention? I don't know if it's going to snow. I don't know. I didn't check the weather. It wouldn't matter. We're going to still go. Tomorrow, for the local people, Tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning at Masjid Muhammad, there will be the janazah of our beloved brother Wali Bentley, rahimahullah. May Allah have mercy on him. So for those locally, please share with others, because you know his funeral is probably going to be packed. So we put it at 9 o'clock in the morning so we don't interrupt Jumu'ah, because the numbers will be too many. I'm assuming that because of his popularity, because his impact on the community and lives with many people, it's going to be huge. So I'm telling you now, let others know, get there early. We'll have the doors open by, inshallah, 8:15, 8:30, 8:30, so we can try to keep it controlled some. And the janazah will be at 9 o'clock. And the funeral burial will be at the Muslim cemetery in Seaside Cemetery, that's in Marmora. Uh, um, but I'll tell you something about this brother, and I wish I learned his lesson. He said something to me at the last Eid, I think it was. Yeah, it was the last Eid. Yeah, it was the last Eid. It's an amazing thing. He was blind, so he couldn't see. Uh, um, but you know, when your one thing go, your senses, the other ones become real keen. So I was walking after Jumu'ah, and he called me. It wasn't was Eid was on Jumu'ah too, wasn't it? I think Eid and Jumu'ah was the same, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, it was after one of the speeches. Either it was the Eid speech or the Jumu'ah speech. It may have been the Eid. And we performed the Eid at our masjid while other communities came together. Some political stuff. I won't go into all that. But he came to our Eid. And so he called me when I was leaving them from the minbar. He said, I need to talk to you. So I talked to him, and he said, I want my janazah done at Masjid Muhammad, and I want you to do it. But he didn't regularly attend Masjid Muhammad. He was raised in Masjid Muhammad, but he didn't regularly attend Masjid Muhammad. So I said to him, because I know him from even before I was Imam Amin, from the dunya, I knew him, right? I said, that ain't my choice. That's your choice. He said, no, this is what I want. This is my home, and you're my Imam. And I was like kind of frozen. Mind you, he doesn't come to our masjid regularly. That's what he said to me. I said, bro, I got your point. It all sounds great, but you better work that out. He said, it will be done. And I'm going to tell you the significance of that. And I said, I wish I was like that. I still got a lot of growing to do. We had differences, which is why he wasn't at our masjid. y'all don't know this about me. You might sense it, but when it comes to Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah and maintaining Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, I can become a total different person. I'm working on it as I get older. But when it comes to Ashari, Maturidi, and Aqidah, Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanbali, and Fiqh, and Tasawwuf, and sticking to that, let's say I can be Umar ibn Khattab when necessary with an African American twist. And he was confronted with that more than once. But despite that, he never, ever separated our brotherhood. Ever. Right? Never, ever, ever, ever. He would just say, because he knows me, he's like, I mean, you're crazy. You need to calm down. We got your point, but you need to calm down and don't always got to go to like that. Right? And Allah gave him his wish. Subhanallah. Allah gave him his wish. And to the extent Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala softened my heart to be patient with what comes with fulfilling those wishes, because a lot comes with that, right? But Allah softened my heart to be patient with whatever comes with it, to make sure his wish is fulfilled. What does it show me? The lesson behind, no matter if we differ, no matter if we don't see things eye to eye all the time, we are still brothers and sisters. We are still one people. And we should never forget that. And he was a living example of that. No one who knows him would deny that. He was a living example. Despite anything, and even before Islam, that standard, anyone who knows him would be honest and would say that. And I was thinking about him this morning, and I was saying, man, what a good ending. Subhanallah. We say, Ya Allahu biha, Ya Allahu biha, Ya Allahu bi husn al khatima. That we ask Allah to give us a good ending. Right? Serious lesson. And I hope all of us, especially the local Atlantic City community, learn from that lesson of his. Right? I hope we learn from that lesson, because it's a big lesson for us. If we think, it's a huge lesson for all of us. And for me, speaking of elders, Imam Zayd said something to me a few months ago that Imam Muawiyah reminded me of it yesterday. Was that yesterday you mentioned that to me, Muawiyah, what Imam Zayd said? Don't mention what he said. Was that yesterday you mentioned that to me, though? But he said something. Imam Zayd is, I think, over 70 now, right? Me and Muawiyah together, and Imam Zayd said something to me. And what happened, the day before, okay, I'm getting old. You young guys remember dates. What happened with our brother Wali was a manifestation locally of what Imam Zayd said. And we should pay attention to that. We have something special between us and among us. We need to work it out. We need to work it out. We could do great things if we realize the favor of Allah upon us. But that takes a lot of thinking. And developing and growing, yes, that's a part of it. But with that being said, let us recite Al-Fatiha for the soul of Brother Wali Bentley, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raises him in the highest ranks under the banner of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and let his example of Islamic love and brotherhood be example for all of us who are still alive. Let his example of Islamic love and brotherhood be an example for us who are still living. And sometimes, as our teachers used to say to us, the dead are more beneficial to us than when they were alive. Sometimes we're going to get lessons from the dead that when they were alive, we would have never taken those lessons. As Imam al-Haddad said, I am a door, but people will not realize I'm a door till I become a grave. I am a door, but sometimes people will not realize that I'm a door till I become a grave. So sometimes the lesson comes from the deceased. But if we're wise, we'll take those lessons and have a better life. So let's recite Al-Fatiha for his soul. Al-Fatiha. Tayyip, remember, please pass the flyer, for the Maliki weekend retreat. It's this Friday. It starts, let's say, 6 o'clock after Maghrib, but it'll be a little, 6 to 8. And then Saturday and Sunday all day from 12 to 6. Biryani will be served. Barakallahu bikum. Tonight, Sheikh Yahya Baltimore will continue his class at 7:30. And remember, next Tuesday, the round table will be on the Aqidah of the Hanabila with Sheikh Nasir Abdul Salam and whoever else is going to join, right? We will have other guests, but next week we're going to talk about that subject, inshallah, at the round table. So we'll be the Aqidah of Al-Hanabila. That will be our subject matter, or we should say the true Hanabila. Every time I say Hanabila, I get a Eminem, what's his name? The white guy, the rapper. Eminem. I get his song, you know, with a real hambali, please stand up, please stand up. The song just go off in my mind every time I say hambali. Oh my goodness. I got issues, I know. Don't worry about it. It's okay. All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.